Hi guys, welcome back to The Curly Reader. My name's Amanda, and today I want to share with you my reading plans for the month of August. So during the month of August, I have a few set reading plans that I have, and then I also am going to be participating in 2 different readathons. So I thought I would kind of share with you. I don't typically do monthly TBRs, but this month I have a few set things that I know I'm going to be doing, so I figured I'd just share with you kind of what my plans are. So first of all, the read-alongs. I have 2 read-alongs that I'm currently participating in that are going to be finishing up during the month of August. The first of which is the Analong 2020, which I co-host with Tia from Tia and All the Books. And during the month of August, we are going to be finishing up the Anne of Green Gables series by reading Rila of Ingleside. This is the final book, and it follows Anne's daughter Rila, and that's pretty much all I know about it. So I know it takes place during World War I. So yeah, I'm excited to finally wrap up that series. I'm also going to be finishing up my reread of Harry Potter by reading Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, which I left downstairs, but I will be reading that during the month of August as well, and that will finish up my reread through that series. I also have a couple of buddy reads planned. I am planning on buddy reading This Tender Land by William Kent Kruger with Mary from Happily Ever Esh. So we are planning on reading this during the month of August. It is historical fiction. It's set in 1932 in Minnesota, and it is about an Indian training school that some kids were sent to, and they decide to escape, I think. That's what I know about it so far. So I'm very, very much looking forward to reading this. I've had that on my shelf for a while now and been wanting to read it. So I'm going to be doing that with Mary. And then I also have a buddy read. I am planning on rereading Hum If You Don't Know the Words by Bianca Murray. I currently have it lent out to a friend, but I am going to be rereading this with Lindsay from Lindsay's Little Library. This is also my in real life book club pick for the month. And so this will be getting reread this month. I'm so excited to reread this book. Oh, so excited. This is my favorite book, so very excited for that. So those books, I know I have commitments to read those. And then I'm also going to be participating in 2 different readathons. So the first readathon that I'm going to be participating in is the Middle Grade Magic Readathon. This is a readathon that was created by Kara at Wild Book Garden, and it is all about reading middle grade. And you know I love me some middle grade, so I got to support my middle grade readathons. And so this one specifically is going to be taking place from August 1st to the 16th. And they have a number of different prompts that all kind of center around different quotes, I think, that they came up with surrounding children's literature. But I'm just kind of going to tell you what the prompt is and what I'm going to be reading for that prompt. So the first prompt is to read an own voices book featuring a main character who is different from you, and to read a book with a main character who you share part of your identity with. So for this prompt, I am going to be reading one of my 5-star predictions, Nick Stone's Clean Getaway. This is written by a black lady. It's about a black boy, and I'm not black. So I figured that counts, right? So this is one that was on my 5-star predictions list, and I need to get read anyway. It is about our main character, Scoob, who is on a road trip with his grandmother, and we don't really know why. We kind of find out along the way why he's on this road trip, where they're going, all that. And I think you kind of learn a little bit of his family history along the way. And then for the aspect or the part of that prompt about reading a book whose main character shares an identity with you, I am finally going to be reading Wolf Hollow by Lauren Woke, and this is about a little white girl, and I'm a white girl. So it's also historical fiction. It takes place between World War I and World War II. So yeah, very, very excited to finally be getting that read. All right, the next prompt is to read a book that gives you hope. And so for this one, I'm going to be reading my other 5-star prediction, Caterpillar Summer by Gillian McDunn. This is about our main character, Cat, and her younger brother, Chicken. I'm pretty sure Chicken... What's up, buddy?
Hi.
Hey, do you want to come sit with me? Oh, careful, careful. Do you want to sit on my lap? Okay. So I'm pretty sure Chicken is on the autism spectrum. And so they go to stay with their grandparents one summer, and yeah, it's kind of about that. So, but I'm really looking forward to that. I think that will be a fun one. All right, let's see here. All right, so the next prompt is to read a book that deals with a serious topic. And for this, I'm going to be reading the second book in the Seeds of America trilogy by Laurie Halse Anderson. I read Chains earlier this year, and so I want to read the second book. This deals with slavery and the Revolutionary War. So it is about these two slaves during the Revolutionary War, and that's kind of the basis of it. So yeah, I really, really want to read the rest of that trilogy, and so that is going to fill that prompt. All right, number 4 is to read a story time book, so a fairy tale, folk tale, or picture book. And here is where we kind of cross over into the other readathon I'm going to be doing, but I am going to be reading The Moomins and the Great Flood by Tove Jansson, I think. And this is a Finnish fairy tale that was written in the 40s, I believe. And the foreword, it was never translated into English until recently. And it was written in 1945, and when it was first reprinted in Scandinavia in 1991, Tove Jansson, I think is how you pronounce the name, wrote this what is it? Forward? Not forward. Preface. That's the word I was looking for. And it just talks about how she wrote this during the war and how she needed a happily ever after and a once upon a time, but she didn't want to write princes and princesses. And so it's these like magical little creatures, and I'm excited. It's very thin. It's illustrated. I'm excited to read it, but it is a Finnish fairy tale. So that counts for that. That's going to be my book for that prompt. All right, number 5 is to read a story what you would consider fantastical or imaginative. And for this, I am going to be reading the next Artemis Fowl book. I read the first one, I don't know, a few months ago. But this is Artemis Fowl and the Arctic Incident, and this is all about Artemis Fowl and some fairy creatures that he encounters. In the first one, he tried to steal some leprechaun gold, and so it has to deal with leprechauns and trolls and all that. So I consider that imaginative and fantastical, so that is what I will be reading for that prompt. The last prompt is to read a book by a marginalized author that you think will bring you joy. And for this one, I am going to be reading the first book in the Love, Sugar, Magic series, A Dash of Trouble by Ana Mariano, and this is about a Hispanic family. I'm pretty sure they live in Texas, but it's talking about Dia de los Muertos and her Mexican ancestry and all of that. So, I am very excited. I've heard really good things about this. It has baking, it has magic in it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So those are the books that I'm planning on reading for middle grade magic. All right, so moving on to the next readathon that I'm planning on participating in, and that is the Moominathon, and it is going to take place for the entire month of August, and this one is hosted by Phoenix at Some Bunny Reads, and also Gemma from, I'm trying to remember what her channel name is now, I'm looking it up, Read a Book Gem. So those are the hosts for this one. And this is a readathon that kind of centers around the book series, The Moomins, or Moomins, I don't know. I've never read it. So I actually have the first book, which is The Moomins and the Great Flood, and I also have the second book, which is something about a comet. My son ran off with it, so I don't have it with me, but I have both of these out from the library, and I'm looking forward to reading them because I know that Phoenix raves about these books, and I've never even heard of them before. So very excited. I know they are a Finnish author, and I think that, they're like Finnish classics. So I think that that'll be fun. But the prompts are all just kind of random. It's not specifically to read the Moomin books. So each of the prompts, the name of the prompt has to do with one of the characters in the series, but then they're tied to other things. So like I said, this will take the entire month of August, and there are 6 prompts. And the first prompt is Moomin Troll, read and illustrate a book, comic, or manga. And so for this, I'm going to be reading The Moomins and the Great Flood because it is illustrated. So I figured this would be a good fit for that. You're going to notice a lot of these are going to be crossovers between other things I've already mentioned. All right, the next prompt is to reread an old childhood favorite. So I have a couple of ideas for this. I don't have any of them with me. One was to read one of the Ramona Quimby books. I have one in this house somewhere. I cannot find it anywhere. So I want to either read one of those or read Dealing with Dragons by Patricia Reed. I remember reading that in middle school and I've never read it since, and so I would have to get it from the library. I don't even really remember what it's about. I just remember reading it for Battle of the Books in middle school, and yeah, I remember really enjoying it when I read it, but I thought it would be fun to reread that, so I will either read one of those two for that prompt. All right, the next prompt is to Moomin Papa, read a book that was published when you were a kid, but that you have not read yet. And for this, I'm actually going to read The Watsons Go to Birmingham, 1963 by Christopher Paul Curtis. This was published in 1995. I was in elementary school? I don't know. I was probably in 5th grade when this was published. And so I consider that still in my childhood. So I really want to read this, and why not? Add it to the list. So I want to read that. All right, the next prompt is Snork Maiden, read a book with a beautiful love story. And for this, I'm going to count Rila of Ingleside for this because I don't really have any other books that I know I really, really want to read that have a love story in them right now. So I'm just going to count this. And if I run across something else that I really want to read, I may pick it up, but I don't know. We're just going to go with Rila of Ingleside for now. The next prompt is Snufkin, read a book with a beautiful friendship. And for this, I am going to read Hum If You Don't Know the Words because it has an amazing, it's kind of like a mother-daughter friendship, but it's still a friendship, and I still love the book, and I think it is amazing. And so, yeah, I'm just going to count that one. I could probably count some of these other middle grade books. I'm sure have friendships in them, but I'm just going to count Hum If You Don't Know the Words for that one. And then the last book, Tove, is to read a book set in a cold climate or in the winter. And for this, I'm going to count Artemis Fowl, The Arctic Incident. This takes place in Russia. So yeah, and it's called The Arctic Incident. So I'm assuming it's cold. So a lot of crossover between the two readathons, but I do want to support both of these channels. And so yeah, are the creators, hosts of the readathons. So I want to be participating in both of them. So those are the reading plans for the month of August. If you've read any of these books, as always, I would love to hear your opinions about them. And yeah, other than that, let me know what you're planning on reading in August. And I think that's about it. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya!